guys, it's Margaret, Texas Gal Treasures, and in this video we're going to be talking all about Bakelite, Lucite, and Celluloid.
So this month is Plastics Month in our jewelry group on Facebook, Jewelry Lovers and Sellers. So we are focusing on learning all about Bakelite, Celluloid, and Lucite. So let's get started with Bakelite. What is Bakelite? Bakelite is a phenolic resin that was invented in 1907 and was used for everything from radio cases and telephone cases to jewelry and buttons. Next up we have celluloid. Celluloid was an earlier plastic, started earlier than Bakelite, and was used in everything from films and movies to jewelry and buttons. It is a lot more brittle and definitely more flammable. So be careful when you're testing your celluloid if you're using any of the hot methods because it is flammable. And then we have Lucite. Lucite's another form of plastic. It's much harder and very versatile. It's in almost every color. There's all sorts of styles, varieties, everything from transparent to opaque. These are a few different types. There's a type of Lucite that is called confetti Lucite that has glittery things in it, and this is another type of confetti Lucite that's got inclusions that makes it look a bit like amber. So let's talk about one of the methods for testing Bakelite, celluloid, and Lucite. One of the really common methods is the hot water or smell test. What you'll do is get a cup of hot water or a bowl and you'll dip your item in and then you will smell it. And when you smell it, it will give off a very distinctive odor. Now I'm going to invite in a couple other friends that are not, they're not friends, a couple other items that are not Bakelite, Lucite, or celluloid, and the reason I'm having them come over is because I tested them when I was going through the testing methods for all of these, and they also are something else and have very distinctive odors. So when you find things like this, I want you to know what they smell like so you will be able to identify them properly. So first up, Bakelite. When you dip Bakelite in the hot water, or if you're out and about and you find some you think is Bakelite, you can rub it on, not your hand, rub it on your jeans or something that's going to cause some friction, and then you'll smell it, and it should smell like formaldehyde. Take a smell. Does it smell like your science classroom? Next up is celluloid. When you test celluloid with the hot water method, it's going to smell like camphor, or some people describe it as a Vicks vapor rub, mothball kind of smell, or even a little vinegary. So these ones smelled really strongly of camphor or kind of like a mothball smell when I tested them in the hot water method. Again, if you're using, say, a hot needle method, which I don't really recommend, that these ones would be really flammable. So be careful when you're testing celluloid, flammable. And then we have our super versatile Lucite. Lucite, when you test it with the hot water method, shouldn't really smell like anything, odorless. So there's that. Okay, so my two other pieces of jewelry that I wanted to come on and talk about are these two. So this first one was an item that was in my grandmother's collection. I remember her telling me that it was really valuable and so I should take care of it, but I couldn't remember what it was. So when I started testing things out for Bakelite, I thought, you know what, let me go get that because it feels plasticky, it's really lightweight, and I'll just test it out. So when I did the hot water method on this necklace, I knew almost immediately what it was. Because just last month in Jewelry Lovers and Sellers, we were talking, well, month before last, we were talking all about amber, and this is a kind of amber. It's either lemon or egg yolk amber. Now when you dip amber in hot water, it's going to smell like deep, like a foresty, tree sappy kind of smell. It's really a rich, deep smell. So as soon as I dipped this, smelled that amber smell and knew, okay, I took it to my bathroom, turned out the lights, took out my UV light, and sure enough, that puppy glowed. So yeah, if you are interested in learning more about how to test amber, I will link a video here that I did. So definitely, grandmother was right that this is a valuable necklace because it is. Again, I'll have to decide if I would consider that lemon or egg yolk amber. Now the other two items, I knew what they were, but thought I would go ahead and pull them out and test them because they weren't too dissimilar from my Bakelite bracelet. It has that tortoiseshell kind of look, even though this one's a bit redder. This is more of a root beer. So I thought, well, let me go ahead and pull these out and test them. As soon as I dipped these in the hot water, they smelled like burning hair. So if you come across something that you think might be Bakelite, they feel plasticky, you dip them in that hot water, they smell like burning hair, you know you're handling tortoiseshell. Now these were also in my grandmother's collection. This is an endangered species, so they are not okay to sell, so they will just stay now in my collection. So the next testing method for testing Bakelite is using Simichrome polish, which is a metal polish. So be careful when you're using this because it is an abrasive. If you're interested in purchasing some Simichrome polish to have on hand, I have a link down in the description box where you can order some from Amazon. So when you test Bakelite using Simichrome polish, it will come out like a yellow, kind of like a dark tobacco yellow color. So there's that. So first, however, let's test some celluloid. So these items, even though I know they're celluloid, I want to show you what happens when I test them with the Simichrome polish. So all you'll need to do is get a little bit on your cotton swab or Q-tip, cotton ball, whatever you want to use. And if you see, it's got this kind of pink, it's like a bubblegum pink, really pastel light colored pink, like so. And then you're going to find a spot that's not too conspicuous where you can rub. You can see I've been practicing over here. So it's cleaned it up, that's for sure. And you will rub the item and see what color comes up. Alright, so if you can see, there was a little bit of a change to it, but it still looks pink, but it's kind of like a dirty, pink now. So when I first tested these with the Simichrome, I tested them on the back because I wanted it to be in a really inconspicuous spot. And I tested it with Simichrome before I did the hot water method on these. So I got pretty excited because when I tested it with the yellow, instead of just showing up nothing, it did turn a yellowy color. If you can see that little bit of a yellow color there. So at first I thought, oh boy, these are going to be Bakelite. But then I realized as I was testing some other items that sometimes the color of the dye will come off on the Q-tip. So I flipped them over and I decided to test the colored portion on the inside. And when I did that, you'll see that the kind of bluish brown color of the center is coming off as well. So if this was Bakelite, it would not do that. It would not rub the color off onto the Simichrome. So this is why it's really useful to make sure that you use more than one method when you're checking your items to find out if they're Bakelite, celluloid, or anything, and not just relying on the one, because you could get a false positive and start selling something that would get you an item not as described if you're selling on eBay, or a very unhappy customer if you sold these buttons as Bakelite to somebody on Etsy or eBay, either way. So now for the Bakelite. Again, you just need a little bit. Find an inconspicuous spot. And it should come out this yellowy, kind of like a tobacco yellow color on the Q-tip. There we go. Like so. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you found this video really helpful. If you would, go down there and give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested, find me on Facebook at Texas Gal Treasures, and also my jewelry group, Jewelry Lovers and Sellers. The links are down below, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.